I wasn't gonna do a video on that Chinese spy balloon because I was waiting to see what the story really was, and it just didn't seem. It seemed like Biden allowed the Chinese to run a spy balloon through the country. Um, Started off in Montana. Actually, I believe it was in Alaska first. But as far as we knew, started off in Montana, went down through Nebraska, then Colorado, then over somehow to Missouri, and then it went over through Tennessee, Atlanta, and exited South Carolina into the Atlantic where we shot it down. Supposedly, Biden wanted it shot down immediately, and our military overrode his command.
They decided that the best time to do that was as it got over water outside within the 12-mile limit. They successfully took it down, and I want to compliment our aviators who did it, and we'll have more to report on this a little later. Thank you.
Mr. President, what did you say about China? What's your message to China?
You were saying the recommendation was from your national security.
I told them to shoot it down.
On Wednesday.
On Wednesday.
But the recommendation.
They said to me, let's wait till the safest place to do it.
I thought he was the commander-in-chief, but apparently that doesn't mean anything. There's so much to unpack with that story that, I was looking for what is the real purpose of this, what is going on, and it seemed to be nothing more than they were spying. People were saying, well, it's just a balloon. I saw people on the left and right dismiss it because it was a balloon, which is very odd considering we have satellite images that can zoom all the way in to the Google Map level where you can see everything. And we're impressed by that. But when you bring an object miles down below satellite but use the same technology, you should be able to read somebody's phone. That's the kind of technology we're talking about here that's sitting on a balloon. Now, it can be directly casting all this information to the Chinese government, which is most likely what was happening. But why would we allow that to happen? Why not shoot it down immediately? Why is that any different from a drone? If we saw a drone flying over U.S. airspace and it wasn't ours, we would shoot it down. I mean, there's nothing to think about. So whether the country says it was an accident or not, why does that matter? Okay, it was an accident. We appreciate the heads up and shoot it down. And the reasoning that our military gave their commander-in-chief as to why they weren't going to shoot it down, supposedly, is that they didn't know what kind of debris would come out and it could harm citizens. Well, it was over Montana when they discovered it, and they knew about it at least a few days before that. So it's over Montana, very low populated areas. They could have shot it down. Truth is, there was probably some idiot who figured, we can get intel off of this, and let's just study it and try to intercept communications. Instead of shooting it down and seeing what it was doing. What was it communicating with? Was it going to self-destruct? Was there chemical weapons in this thing? Was this a test for the ability to use chemical weapons? We don't know. And the government definitely won't tell us that much because it makes Biden look bad. So why am I talking about this late? Apparently, 3 more objects have been shot out of the sky by the U.S. military. That's why I'm talking about it now, because I didn't care about it. I followed it very closely, and I thought it was very odd that we allowed it to take this path over 4 military bases, where they had the technology to be able to read information off of your telephone, your own cell phone. That technology is just floating over us. As slow as can be. It's not a drone that's going fast. It's 100 miles per hour, 200 miles, 300 miles per hour. It's just floating over our airspace, over our country, over our states. We did not know, to the point of, say, chemical weapons. If it did have chemical weapons in it, and it had some kind of gas, why not shoot it down over the unpopulated area? Why allow it to keep going over all these populated areas and all these military bases where it could have caused complete destruction? Why allow it to do that? I find that odd. Because you're playing Russian roulette with something you don't know what it is. That's the whole point of shooting stuff down immediately. That's what I thought the whole point was. Hey, you're violating our airspace. We have to shoot it down. So now we have 3 more objects over this weekend. I think Friday, Saturday, Sunday, that were shot down. And maybe one today. Today is Monday as I record this. And they're not going to tell us why they shot them down, whose they are, and what the decision process was. Now remember, this is the administration of transparency. That's what they talk about every time Jean-Pierre gets at the podium. Now, when she was asked about the Chinese balloon,
we have talked about China's balloon program. We have generally on this, the Chinese surveillance balloons program has been around for some time. We even briefed Congress this past August. So I don't have any specific on any other balloon during this president's administration, but there has been a program that has been in effect. We have kept Congress abreast on that. But I don't have anything more to say or to share.
She's stumbling. She had no idea what to say. Why? Well, why can't we be transparent? You guys said that that's what this was about. So it got to the point where even the White House press corps was like, okay, what are we doing here?
How is it possible that this administration discovered at least 3 previous balloons that flew over the U.S. under the previous administration, but Trump officials didn't know it was happening?
Yeah, so look, I think that, and we have talked about this before, about how when the PRC government surveillance balloons transited the continental U.S. briefly, at least 3 times, as you just mentioned, during the president's prior administration, and once that we know of the beginning of this administration's, but never for this duration of time, as we know.
So if there's one thing we know, is the media hates Trump. So what did Jean-Pierre do when the questions started getting really hot? Trump. She tried to blame Trump somehow for what happened, and what the Biden administration did was say, well, it happened under Trump 3 times. Oh, wait a minute. Again, we know you hate the media. This would have been international news for months if this happened under Trump. Everyone knows it. So why would you say that? Did you really think that was enough to stop, to just put a halt to the story? But Trump! So you blame Trump when something happens under your administration. You blame Trump when something happens under his administration, but you didn't say anything when it supposedly happened. I find it hard to believe that the media would not have been all over that story to say, hey, remember we said he was going to get us into nuclear war? He's letting spy balloons fly over the country. So then when they were asked for proof, they said, okay, we need to see some briefings. Congress is like, whoa. How do we not know about this?
Quite frankly, I'll just tell you, I don't want a damn balloon going across the United States when we potentially could have taken it down over the Aleutian Islands, no offense to Alaska, or in some of the areas in Montana. And I understand public health. I understand doing damage. I understand that could have been a nightmare. But the truth is I got a problem with a Chinese balloon flying over my state, much less the rest of the country.
Senator, absolutely. We sent a very clear message to the PRC when we shot it down in our sovereign airspace, in our sovereign waters.
Think about it from Alaska's perspective. You said, Ms. Dalton, that the clear message here, we sent a clear message to the PRC when we shot this down in our sovereign waters. Seems to me the clear message to China is we got free range in Alaska, because they're going to let us cruise over that until it gets to more sensitive areas. Tell me where the sensitive areas are.
There's Karine Jean-Pierre stumbling through her lie.
This information was discovered prior to the administration left, but the intelligence community, as I said, is prepared to give briefings to key officials. But this is something. Post. But this is something that they were not aware of, as we've just laid out. But again, we are ready to brief key officials to let them know what the intelligence community was able to figure out.
You can share about how you became aware of it. Like, did you? Did you go back and look at some?
So I'm not going to get into intelligence community information from here. That's not something that we do from certainly from the briefing room. What I can say is that we learned of this, the three prior during the past administration, and so we are willing to share that information. But again, just not going to get into intelligence from here.
Why aren't you guys just saying what happened? Why did we have to wait?
Following up on Tara's question, I thought you said about the other four previous ones that they were over strategic sites.
No, I was talking about the most recent one.
Okay, so what were the?
Again, I'm not going to talk about their flight paths other than they were over continental United States.
Were they over what you would call sensitive sites?
Again, I'm not going to. They were over sites that would be of interest to the Chinese, but I'm not going to go into the specifics, David. Thank you.
Position of the balloon classified?
Phil, right now, what we're not going to do is get into a hour-by-hour location of the balloon. Again, we're monitoring it closely. As I mentioned, right now, it's over the center of the continental United States. That's about as specific as I'm going to get.
But I understand it might be inconvenient, but does the public not have a right to know if a balloon
the public
is over
certainly
their state?
has the ability to look up in the sky and see where the balloon is.
Who are you? Not your rank. I don't care about any of that. You're my employee. You have no right to talk to. The reporters are supposed to be asking questions that we would ask if we had the access to you, Mr. General, or whoever you are. You don't have the right to dismiss them like that. Even when Jean-Pierre gets an attitude, she fixes it the next time you see her. Because they understand they are public servants. They don't even call them public employees. They are servants. We put you there to work for us. It's so arrogant when we see these people and how they're acting as if they don't have to tell us anything. When they're being directly asked, it's like, okay, fire him. Why wouldn't he get removed that day? I don't understand. So now they're not answering questions as to what these new objects are. Are they UFOs? Are they from China? What would possibly be the motive to not tell us what they are when we just had that balloon incident last week? I wonder what Biden could have said.
We seek competition, not conflict. But I will make no apologies that we're investing to make America stronger. Investing in American innovation and industries that will define the future that China intends to be dominating. Investing in our alliances and working with our allies to protect advanced technologies so they will not be used against us. Modernizing our military to safeguard stability and deter aggression. Today, We're in the strongest position in decades to compete with China or anyone else in the world. But make no mistake about it. As we made clear last week, if China threatens our sovereignty, we will act to protect our country, and we did. Name me a world leader who changed places with Xi Jinping. Name me one. Name me one.
So when he makes an open threat and draws his red line and they cross it, they're saying, okay, what are you going to do? Now, I don't know if this is what happened, but what is the likelihood of what I'm saying to be true? Pretty high. He puts out a threat in that awful State of the Union address saying, yelling, screaming about what we'll do to defend this country, even though we hadn't defended it literally the week before. Or actually, at that point, it was only days before when he did that State of the Union address. It was a couple days before, if not a day before, where we finally shot down the balloon after it traveled across this country, spying on everything and everyone it could.
The American military shooting something out of the sky over Canada?
Because it's part of NORAD. There is the NORAD is part of like it's a what you call a coalition, a consortium,
a pact of nations.
A pact,
Okay.
Exactly. And so that's why we were able to do that. Again, we didn't do it on our own. We did it clearly in step with Canada.
So they tested him, and they just start sending more and more and more and more, and we're shooting down, but we're not saying anything. Why? Because he threatened them, and now he doesn't know what to do. They call this bluff. And that's where we are right now. Oh, what are you talking about? Come on, man.